Welcome back to another video. My name is Gordon Frayne, and today's video is going to be a little bit different. I'm going to be diving into my past 7 years of experience in the Bitcoin and cryptocurrency space. I'm going to be talking a little bit about my story and the whole reason behind this channel being so that you can learn from my mistakes in this space and save yourself time and money at the end of the day, because you can learn what not to do from the mistakes that I made over the past 7 years to set yourself up for success and ultimately take control of your financial future. So, as always, if you enjoy the content, please make sure to smash the thumbs up button below, hit that subscribe button, and hit the bell notification icon so you can get notified every time we're dropping a video here. As always, we're dropping multiple videos every single week, so you're going to want to get notified when they drop so you can stay on top of this rapidly evolving crypto space. So let's throw it back through the years, and basically I'm just going to be talking through my journey in crypto by bringing up the Bitcoin chart and thinking about the past few cycles that we've had and the different ups and downs that we've had throughout that entire journey. So, I first heard about Bitcoin all the way back in probably 2011. And obviously, I wasn't buying it back then. But if I had been, it would be maybe a very different story today with the astronomical rises we've seen in the price of Bitcoin, all the way back since 2011, where we had prices, sub 10 US dollars. But I heard about it. I didn't really pay much attention to it. And then in 2013, I began hearing about it again. And this was probably in the aftermath of the 2012 halving. But in 2013, once again, I kind of dived in to learn a little bit more about Bitcoin. And I had a very basic understanding of what it was and what it does. But I never bit the bullet in terms of actually purchasing any or investing in Bitcoin in that period around 2013. So, we went through that whole cycle in 2013 with run ups from, sub $100 up to the $1,000 mark before retracing significantly again. And then here in 2016, we had this next halving event. And it was in early 2017 that I began, hearing the hype around Bitcoin again. And obviously, in hindsight, it's easy to look back and see that, this massive price action upwards here was probably a lot of the reason why Bitcoin was beginning to ring alarm bells again for me in this time period. But basically, early 2017, around Q1, Q2 was the time that I first actually bit the bullet and started buying Bitcoin in this area here around March, April, May of 2017. So again, hindsight is 2020, and obviously we know with the different Bitcoin halving cycles that we've had, which are kind of denoted by the blue lines in the chart here. The 2020 halving we had, I think, in July around this time here in 2020. So basically, 2017 was the first time that I actually bit the bullet after having heard about Bitcoin for years. And 2017 was the first time I really dived in to become properly obsessed with Bitcoin and the entire altcoin space. And again, this was the time when we had the entire ICO boom. So we had Ethereum really taking off, and we had ERC20 tokens really helping to move the market and bring a lot more capital and liquidity into the space. So the whole ERC20 boom with the likes of BNB and all of these other tokens that didn't actually have layer one blockchain mainnets ready yet, they were all launching ERC20 tokens on Ethereum, and you had this whole initial coin offering boom during that period. And that was really the period here, this huge market run up that I got caught up in for the first time. And, seeing Bitcoin going from that, sub $1,000 mark up to the highs of almost $20,000 here, this was my first bull cycle and the first taste that I really got for Bitcoin and the entire market and how that market behaved. And when you're getting caught up in it for the first time, it's very difficult to zoom out and understand that the hysteria and you know, the hype surrounding Bitcoin and the entire altcoin space was, properly out of control by the time we got to December of 2017. But when you're in it and you're in the depths of it and you're blinded by this optimism and this hype, you fail to take profits and you fail to understand that we are due, a market correction and we're due to have some sort of pullback with the price of Bitcoin. And of course, the entire market was following Bitcoin at this time, and we saw drawdowns all the way through 2018 back down to that $3,000 level. And again, from having been in the space since this time and seeing this massive run up, you know, you're making crazy amounts of money in days, in the span of days and weeks here in this run up. This is the weekly chart, so you can see that there was weekly candles, increases of five, six, $7,000 in the space of a few days in the price of Bitcoin, going up 25, 30, 40, 50% in the space of a week. And, as I said, when you're caught up in it, you're not in the mindset of being disciplined, especially when it's your first rodeo and you're not laddering out in terms of taking profits and understanding that the market is overbought and you're about to reach a market high here as we did at the very end of 2017. So again, my strategy and my thesis has evolved over the years to come to a point where you need to be more educated in your strategy in terms of laddering in and laddering out of positions as you move through these different cycles. And I think making this video now, just after we've come through the Bitcoin halving here in 2024, it's almost serving here as a reminder for myself based on the previous two cycles, because again, we saw massive drawdowns in the aftermath of the end of 2017 highs. And again, we've done other videos on the channel to talk through these different market cycles, but basically Bitcoin tends to exude this behavioral pattern as we go through these different cycles with the halving events, which create the supply shocks every 4 years. We tend to see this year of accumulation immediately before the halving. Then we have this year of preparation where the halving actually occurs halfway through it. And then we've got this red year, which is a bull run when Bitcoin really makes these big moves to put in new all-time highs. And that's always followed by this orange year, which is a retracement and a correction or a bear market for typically a period of 12 to 15 months. And we get back down to a correction where we're seeing Bitcoin draw down 50, 60, 70% before entering that year of accumulation once again. So, for me, there was a lot of lessons learned in this period. And then when we got to 2018, 2019, 2020, I was keeping an eye on the space still. I still had a number of investments, but I was actually taking more of a back seat when it came to this particular cycle here in 2020. I wasn't as actively involved in terms of looking at altcoins, and NFTs were getting a big explosion here in 2020, 2021 with Solana and all the stuff happening with the Solana run up in the 2020, 2021 cycle. It's crazy even looking back at the prices of Solana here in December of 2020 and how much it accumulated in the, from the period of December 2020 to December 2021. So this period here for me was more of a backseat, passive investment type of scenario. Not something wholeheartedly intentional, but I had the experience of being overly obsessed with the market here in the 2017, 2018 run up. And then kind of took more of a back seat in this particular cycle, more of a hands off approach. And again, we did see massive run-ups here post-halving. Again, this blue line representing the 2020 halving. We saw a huge run-up from Bitcoin, which had gone all the way back down to 5K here prior to the halving. But seeing this run-up to 63K initially before a slight correction, and then going to 69K here in November 2021, this was another cycle that exhibited a lot of the same behaviors that we saw with the 2017 run up. So again, another kind of cycle in the books to understand these patterns, understand the different types of behaviors that Bitcoin was exuding. And then once again, we entered this year of a bear market where we saw retracements come down from those highs of 69,000 all the way back down to 16K in December 2022, January 2023. And again, we kind of had this year of accumulation all throughout 2023. And with the ETF news at the end of 2023, people were anticipating the Bitcoin spot ETF approvals. We began to see a lot of price accumulation here for Bitcoin towards the end of 2023, and obviously through Q1 2024, as we saw Bitcoin continue to gain a lot of traction with the new spot Bitcoin ETFs in the US. We've now had the spot Bitcoin ETF approvals by Hong Kong as well, and a lot of that has driven this market sentiment towards a positive upswing since kind of Q4 of 2023. And again, being in the mix this time around and looking and observing at what's been happening, we're still, even though Bitcoin did put in new all-time highs before the halving event this time around for the first time ever, typically we don't see those new all-time highs until 12 to 18 months after. I think a lot of it has been driven by the exposure to Bitcoin from the ETFs. But again, if we look at the cycle low multiple, let me see. We know that we've got this price action that we saw over the past few cycles or eras with Bitcoin. This is just the Bitcoin chart, but again, it's overlaid. It's basically just taking the time between each of these halving events and overlaying them on top of each other, and defining them as different eras. So era 1 being the aftermath of the 2012 halving, era 2 in orange being the aftermath of the 2016 halving, and era 3 in green being the aftermath of the 2020 halving. And then the current era that we're on here in red obviously is the lead up to and aftermath of the 2024 halving, and day 0 here in the middle of this chart representing the halving date in each of these particular eras or cycles, as we refer to them as. So again, it's pretty clear that there's a very strong pattern here for the price action of Bitcoin in the lead up to and aftermath of the halving event. And again, we're seeing these parabolic moves upwards in each of the previous 3 eras or cycles. And yes, we did put in all-time highs with Bitcoin before the halving event this time around, but we would still expect upwards price movement here over the course of the next 12 to 18 months. So again, estimating a bull run peak to be happening towards the middle to end of 2025, I think is still very much on the cards. I think there's a lot of stuff that's going to be happening between now and then over the course of the next 12 months or so. We're seeing a lot more sophisticated solutions when it comes to the DeFi space. We're seeing a lot more solutions when it comes to actual on-chain transactions with new layer 1s. Solana is making big moves and upgrades with Firedancer later this year. We've got the likes of Sui as a newcomer in the space with a new mainnet launched last year. Lots more adoption, lots more potential applications and utility within the space, and lots more sophisticated solutions when it comes to decentralized finance. So I think there's a lot of scope for growth over the course of the next 12 to 18 months. But again, the whole reason that I've put together this channel is basically so that you can learn from my mistakes. And again, I try to keep it real. I try to keep it honest when it comes to the content and all of the videos that I'm putting out there. I try to make those videos backed by data, and you'll see a lot of the price prediction videos are, based on fundamental analysis, but also based on, different variables that we're plugging in when it comes to the actual tokenomics, the situation when it comes to how many tokens are in the circulating supply, what kind of overall crypto market cap are we going to reach, what kind of percentage dominance can those coins actually attain, and then understanding that this whole space is extremely volatile, and you need to have a strategy for laddering in and laddering out of positions, because you can earn thousands, if not tens of thousands of dollars in the space of a few days and lose it all again in the space of a handful of days. So you need to have a strategy, and you need to map out your strategy for exiting or laddering out of those positions before you get into the depths of the bull run. Because when you're in the depths of the bull run, you are often acting from a non-rational place, and it's difficult to see that when you're in the moment, because you're caught up in the fact that Bitcoin's putting in new all-time highs, Ethereum's putting in new all-time highs, Solana's putting in new all-time highs. The market cap for overall crypto could be getting towards 6, 8, 10 trillion US dollars. And there's so much hysteria and so much energy in the space that you are blinded in the moment to rational thinking and taking your funds or taking profits out of the market. And again, what I'm trying to do with the channel here is to basically make sure that myself, first and foremost, but you guys as well, are, you have that plan, you have that strategy, and you're not going to be blinded by the hysteria and the irrational exuberance going on in the space when it gets to that peak of the bull cycle in the middle to end of 2025. So again, a little bit of a rant here in this video, but I wanted to just put it together to kind of talk about my experience, why I'm, putting together these videos, and making sure that we've all got a strategy for, laddering in to positions to gain exposure to assets that we know have asymmetric upside over the course of the next 12 to 18 months, but also making sure that you've got a strategy and a plan. Because if you don't have a strategy and a plan, and you're already in the middle of the bull cycle and getting towards the peak of the bull cycle, you're not going to be thinking rationally and putting together a plan when you see your balance increasing thousands or by tens of thousands, in the space of a couple of days. You need to map out that strategy and that plan beforehand. So we will have other videos coming on the channel to talk about laddering in, laddering out of positions, how you should be creating that strategy to get in and out of these different cycles and these different markets. So I hope that's useful for you. A little bit of a rant again, as I said, but I wanted to just put that together to talk about my experience. Hopefully you can learn from my mistakes and not make the same ones, and set yourself up for success over the course of the next 12 to 18 months. As always, if you enjoy the content, please make sure to smash the thumbs up button below, hit that subscribe button as well, and hit the bell notification icon so you can get notified every time we drop a new video. We're going to have multiple videos coming every single week, so make sure to subscribe, hit the notification icon, and we will catch you in the next one.